Welcome to All Kinds. I'm Haya.
And I'm Yehudis.
This week, we're going to do a quick update on what's been going on, as well as talk a bit about Johnny and Amber's situation. What the heck is going on there? As well, we're going to talk about alone. Do you think you can make it in the wilderness with nothing and nobody with you for 100 days? Let's see what you're made of.
That's true. I mean, given this whole week we've had, first of all, we've had a lot of deaths in the celebrity world. Naya Riviera, Kelly Preston, but also a lot of complicated marriages we see that are just crumbling. I mean, Will and Jada, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
Well, you were right about Will and Jada, I do have to say. You know?
So they did, Will and Jada sat down to the red table for like a 12-minute interview. And at first didn't even own up to it. She called it an entanglement. Will obviously was like, okay, listen, you're not going to emasculate me again. Like, you're going to have to say what it was. It was an affair. She goes, yeah, it was.
But
in
then
that
they
high
said
pitch.
It wasn't because they were separated.
It obviously was. And the worst part was, why I think this is a Me Too situation. Like, again, I really do. He was addicted to opiates. So you're very vulnerable. He didn't come from a very good home life. He meets such a powerful person like Jada Smith. I mean, come on. And it was your son's friend.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how they met.
Oh, I thought they would just hang out because they're around the same age. I just thought it's a little like, remember last week I was saying to you, well, let's hear what she has to say. Obviously it's none of my business, but they're putting it out there.
The problem is she had to say something because that's what Red Table Talk is all about.
Right. You were saying she's all about giving your truth. So now they brought themselves to the table to really hammer it out. Well, the whole thing was, why did they deny it in the first place? If everything was so copacetic, so kosher with their open marriage, why were they denying it?
Right. I always think, if you're going to be in an open marriage, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. Like Monique, she proudly said her and her husband are in an open relationship. It's nothing shameful if you're not embarrassed by it. But obviously, if you have to keep it under wraps, deep down it's not right.
But how under wraps was this? Because you see all these pictures of her on red carpets with August out and about.
I mean,
during this time.
But she still denied it. And it's just, I actually feel for August. Like, you can tell he was head over heels. He was thinking, oh, you guys are separating. Like,
oh, I thought you were right. It really was a Demi Ashton. He really thought he had a future here.
Right.
Because it was a 4-year relationship.
And he was on Red Table Talk. Like, how crazy is that you bring your lover, your 20, at the time he was like 24-year-old lover, and you talk to him about his healing journey. Like, can you imagine if you're a girl and you meet a 48-year-old powerful man who says, I'm going to help heal you?
But why? Okay, so here's the thing. Obviously, he believed they were legit and together. What do you think she told him so that they couldn't go public? Like when they were together, oh, we can't. We have to wait for the divorce to be finalized.
Absolutely, like all other people do.
Him. Yeah. So did he live at the house during this? Because they said on the red table that they were separated. So I don't know, were they?
Well, who knows? I mean, the Smiths have a beautiful mansion. So it's possible that they did live in the same house. Again, these mega mansions, you're not really, I personally wouldn't want to live in a mega mansion, but that's a whole nother thing. I mean, it's too big of a house. Too much house.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go from here because this has just exploded everywhere.
I always say if I'm wealthy, I would like to live the life of Sarah Jessica Parker. They have a nice brownstone in New York. Beautiful, I'm sure. Maybe 3-4 floors, but it's not a mega mansion.
I'm sure she has a whole staff to help her out. Usually
right,
they have more than one property.
If her and Matthew were to ever separate, they would literally have to move one of them.
Right.
Because I don't want a huge mega mansion.
I think normally when you hear about these rich celebrities in New York, they usually have the mansion in the Upper East, and then they have the Hamptons.
That's right.
So normally when a separation happens, one of them, peters off to the Hamptons.
I just think with this whole affair, I mean, you just saw Will in that interview, and he just looked really sad.
Yeah, you see all the memes now. It's like the Michael Jordan memes. They're going to be everywhere.
Yeah, or the Pursuit of Happiness.
I used one
memes.
the other day.
I mean, she does seem like a pretty big bitch. I'm not going to lie. I hate when people use word salads. And the Red Table Talk, a lot of times Jada is constantly using stupid word salads.
But we don't know what goes on in the privacy of a marriage. However, it just seems weird that they would put it out there. Like, why don't they just say, okay, it's true. We had an affair. It's between us. End of story.
My favorite is saying, shit, can I get some of that Jada love? I'm hearing guys say that.
Well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they're officially ending whatever this open, non-open thing is in the next year or so. Because now it's all out.
The only thing that's disturbing is that, they've been together for 25 years, which is amazing. But they also put on an act like, we have an amazing marriage. This is our marriage. We're strong.
Have they talked about it?
Yeah, they said we have a strong marriage, all that. And then this is what's really going on. Just, you guys are human.
Right. And that's fine. And again, we don't know what's going on in anyone's marriages, but I don't think why should they continue this whole thing now? It seemed like they had animosity. When you see that interview.
That's right.
I mean,
There's
I know
tension.
they're both actors, but ooh.
He's embarrassed. For sure he's embarrassed. I mean, now there's obviously rumors of him and Margot Robbie.
I've heard these.
But I really don't think, I think Will Smith is like us, where a lot of people, he's a one-woman type person.
Maybe that one woman is Margot.
Maybe, but he just seems like first of all, he seems like he likes the petite women. And he just doesn't seem like that type. Like, he's loyal to the end.
Well, what was he doing for those 4 years?
And when they said that they weren't going to divorce.
For 4 years.
They're like, we never divorced. I mean, can you imagine what that would look like? Jada would spill everything. You know that. He has a fortune. She has a small fortune compared to Will.
No, but the rules, I think, in California are 50-50 down the line.
Right.
So
and it would just
matter.
ruin them.
I don't think it would ruin them. I think they'd all walk away with tons of money.
It would ruin them in those circles.
All right. Well,
we are not in those circles.
No, we certainly aren't. But, if they're going to put their tea out there for us to sip, girl.
Absolutely. I mean, just bring it on more. I want to know, when she said also in that interview with Will that, she just really liked helping August heal. That's almost a Me Too. Like, how is that not Me Too?
Well, you know what I would have liked, since we talk about the truth and the red table, I would have liked if they did this with August at the table.
That's right. Yes, August needed to come to the table.
Because he has no problem speaking the truth.
And the thing is, also, she defended him, and she said, Will never gave his blessing, but I could see how August, would think that. I 100% believe that Will gave his blessing via Jada Smith. And she was caught in a lie. She can't own up to it. She's not going to tell her husband, hey, listen, I really did tell him that you gave the blessing.
It went on for 4 years. He probably lived there for 4 years. Will was probably not around. I don't think so. I would say, where was he for 4 years?
But also, Will had more respect that if he was seeing other people, you had to have paparazzi shots on him. They weren't going to red carpets.
But they shared children and everything. That's what I mean. So if this is going on for 4 years. But
Jada was going to like red carpet events with August, where I'm sure
publicly.
Will, when he had women, there were rumors of like Lisa Koshy and another woman. They never went to red carpet affairs.
Yeah, that's true. But
that's the difference.
And
it's a little egotistical.
Well, you know what she was up to in those 4 years of their supposed separation, right? You don't know what he was doing.
Right.
He's more private that way. Good for him, I guess. But now it's all out there anyway. We'll see what happens.
And also with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I mean, every day, the Daily Mail, I mean, the pictures are amazing. First of all, if you guys have to go and see these pictures, Johnny's throwing up on himself. There's Coke somewhere. Amber pooed on the bed.
Well, okay, so first off, we should just let everyone know, if you haven't seen this, it's everywhere. Johnny's in court right now. Amber had put a restraining order on him. She had claimed abuse, I don't know how many years ago now. But then
Not only that she claimed abuse, it was in the height of the Me Too era.
Right, she donated her settlement to, like, I think women's rights.
Absolutely.
She got like a $7 million divorce settlement. But then I forget why they're in court. I think maybe libel. But the point is, it's all coming out, and it's really freaking crazy. So she apparently was accused of abusing him. She claimed that, right? She got the restraining order. But now they have the videotapes or phone conversation of her abusing him. So,
I mean,
but they sound so messed up. He sounds like a blackout drunk with serious issues. And
of course.
I mean, he's passed out. He says it openly. I blacked out here. I blacked out there. I don't know what happened.
I always liked Johnny Depp. I liked his honesty. You could tell, what I find really mean about Amber is that Johnny has kids at the end of the day. And if you're gonna put Johnny and say he's an abuser and stuff, the kids are really gonna be, you put them in an awkward position, especially when you've hit him, Amber.
Well, I don't even know why she would claim the abuse. She has enough on him. Like, she took that picture you're talking about with ice cream all over him. It was when he was blacked out. His ice cream had fallen on him, and she took a picture to show him how pathetic he's become. So he was out of control with the drinking, the drugs, whatever it was. He even admits he had $650 million at one point, woke up, and now he owes $100 million. He's blaming money managers and things like that.
As you do.
I mean, these court transcripts are hilarious. Like, what is next with these guys? But you know what?
Would you ever be in an open marriage?
It's not for me, but I really don't care what people do in their marriages, but if you have an open marriage and you have your rules, good for you. But don't tell me that it's like X, Y, and Z, and then you're doing this and that.
That's right.
And don't tell me how to live my life.
I know I could never have an open marriage. I'm way too jealous, A. And B, I'm possessive. Like, no, my husband is my husband.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't even get a second dog. I'm like, how can I split my love? You know what I mean?
Well, you can expand. There was also, just touching up on this, with marriage, Patton Oswalt recently got engaged.
Oh, did he?
And this is,
congrats.
it's like a year and a half after losing his wife. And he's been getting a lot of flack, like, oh, is the body still warm?
Really?
Yeah. And a widower actually stood up for him. And she said, and she's been getting a lot of praise, like, hey, when your loved one is gone, you don't just move on. You expand your heart. You can love them both. And it's so true.
That's true. You would never let go. Like now I'm thinking of another dog since Mila passed.
Your loved one would not want you to be in misery.
Right. And I never judge anyone for how they grieve. You know, sometimes I'll watch a lot of Dateline and they'll be like, oh, he did it. He's not crying. I'm like, you don't know how people grieve. You don't know what they need to get through.
Some of them it is a little.
Usually it is the husband or the wife. I just want to say this.
Right.
That is the number one rule. But I'm saying when it's
I always tell Chaya, and Chaya always tells me, girl, if I'm found at the bottom of the stairs, just like in Netflix's The Staircase.
Oh, yeah.
Right away blame my husband.
100%. Same
and
here.
I'll do the same
Don't
for
listen
you.
to him. I didn't fall and get 7 lacerations to the head. I'm not a circus performer.
So they're different,
If anything, I landed on my ass and hurt my back. Like, that's it. But anyway, so it depends on your marriage. Like, it's not for me. Then again, I'm not a celebrity telling everyone how to live their lives. But if it works for you,
I always think if I was a celebrity, I'd like to be like Paul Giamatti. Like, you know, when he's in a good movie because he's a good actor, but he doesn't have paparazzi following him.
But that's what I hate about it. For like, you never see the female Paul Giamatti. I'd love to see that.
Melissa McCarthy.
You would equate her to Paul Giamatti?
No, I think she's hilarious, but
yeah, she's a comedian. She's one of the
who
funniest.
would I equate?
Yeah, think about it because it's not as common as you think. They do it in England. You see a lot of great Paul Giamatti types. I don't know if anyone's taking this as a compliment or not, but he's a great actor.
He's a great actor. Any movie he's in, I'm like, oh, I'll watch it. It's Paul Giamatti.
Well, it's like you can go to the supermarket.
But do I want to see him at CVS? Paparazzi photos? Probably not.
But you might. You might be like, hey, is that Paul? Or is that guy driving my taxi?
Paparazzi are not going to go after him.
You don't know that. You don't. Well, it all depends. It's like, for me, it's the Danny DeVito. He's a huge star.
Right.
And I'm sure people mob him.
Because he's also in Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
so he also made like for a whole new generation.
Right. But, you know, it all depends what you like. For me, I always used him as the example. I'm like, where's the lady? Danny DeVito. I'd love to see that. I love that he's married to Carla, though, from Cheers.
I mean, isn't he married to that tall woman, Rhea, right?
Yeah, she was Carla in Cheers.
Aww.
She was.
I just remember them from Matilda.
To age shame you a bit. I'm a little bit older.
Yeah, you know, I grew up with Matilda, and they were together in Matilda.
Oh yeah, I didn't watch Matilda.
It's a great movie.
Is it?
Even for adults.
Really? Have you watched it as an adult?
Yeah, I have. Oh. It's really good.
Well, this brings me to the show that we found that sounds totally out of left field, but it is just fascinating. It's called Alone. It's on the History Channel. Mm-hmm. These people go into the wilderness and they have to survive.
Before, these are survival. How do I say it? Survivalists?
Experts? Well, so
they grew up camping and scourging for food. Yeah. So explain what the show is.
Right. So they all have a different survivalist backgrounds, like Pudding is saying here. But basically, they get to go up to the Arctic, which is northern Canada, essentially, and they are dropped off in a remote area, and they have to survive for 100 days. The last person standing wins $1 million. This is on History right now.
So they have to spend a winter in the Arctic, but before it's winter, they are also harvesting the food. They're making their own shelter. You cannot bring a tent. They have their own, like, ferro rods, which I didn't know, like a fire stick.
I don't even know how they do this. I say, how are they going to sleep at night? They're literally dropped off. They have the camera gear put there.
It's the first reality show where, you know, you can literally die. I'm sure the waivers upon waivers are on that show because it's the one show where it's like every 10 days the medical staff will come and they have a phone, but it's like a wilderness type phone. So if you don't answer that phone, like no reality show can protect you from bears, from the elements just in the Arctic.
Yeah.
Wolves.
Why
do they call them wolverines? They keep calling them.
That's a different type of animal. So a wolverine, it looks like this big, crazy beaver type with these, they said they have 4-inch claws. So it's not actually a wolf. But you have all of that to contend with.
And they're alone.
Completely alone.
They have to use, they get trained on how to use the cameras for a little bit. But
that's it. There's nobody there, so they can go like absolutely mental. You have to be strong mentally and physically. And they're only allowed to bring 10 things. And I said to myself, what would I bring? Do they bring a vibrator? Do they bring a toothbrush? No.
They all bring an axe. They bring ferro sticks that's like to start fires because you can't bring like lighter and like gasoline.
Oh, yeah.
You got to start your own fire.
Yeah, and you have to think about your clothes. You have to think about cleaning. The food and the firewood. Like, I'm getting nervous for some of them. Like, I'm not going to give anything away, but they have to build their own shelter. It's going to have to last through winter. This is not a summer show. They drop them off clearly in late fall. And I wouldn't make it like a day alone. When my husband goes
2
away,
hours.
I'm like, where is he?
2 hours in there, because they're also eating squirrels. They're eating porcupines. They're eating, and they show you cutting up the rabbits and stuff. And, they have diseases, squirrels.
And sometimes you think, oh, the guy who's catching all the fish, he's going to make it. But then you saw the other time, he's having too much protein. He was trying to eat roots to get some fiber so he could poop. You got to be careful. You have to know how to clean the animal. And some of them, I couldn't believe it. One guy, he doesn't know how to fish or I think even hunt. I'm like, you're not going to make it. How many berries do you think you're going to eat?
But it's always those guys with the most egos. They're the first ones to go in any type of reality show.
I mean, this doesn't make any sense. And some of them, their shelters, I'm like, you're not going to make it.
So there's one character, and she's a very nice lady. She's from Canada. She's the only Canadian on the show. She kills a rabbit, and she's crying. And then she's like, thank you. So, stop your fake crying, okay? You knew getting into the show. It's survival. You're still going to eat it. So,
Right. And everything, they have a disclaimer on the show. For everything that's killed or hunted, it's in accordance with the
blah, blah,
the
blah
laws, and the indigenous people are respected because it's an indigenous hunting ground too. But yeah, you're going to be killing the animals. How else are you going to survive? Like, you have to have a plan.
Would you do it for 1 million for 100 days?
I ask myself this every time. I'm like,
I wouldn't, because just if I saw a bear, I'd freak out. I mean, these are huge Canadian bears.
Well, what I don't get is like, if they're sleeping, and don't most animals hunt at night? I wouldn't make it past the first brush of a leaf.
I'm obsessed with this show. I watch it. It's on every Thursday on my Amazon Prime, but it's obsessed.
I'd be desperate to like contact somebody. I'd have that Wilson Tom Hanks moment. I think one of them goes through that. And it'll be like day 2.
Oh, yeah. This guy has like an ox head on his encampment that he made. And, it's just crazy that they're able to do this.
Yeah, I don't think I could go alone for even a day. How long do you think you could last?
I can't last a whole day. No, 3 hours.
No phone.
For no phone, half an hour.
And I
mean that, guys. I mean, this is the wilderness. You have to really know what you're doing. Half an hour, I would have to say.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting really alarmed for some of them. I think they're going to go a little bonkers here.
Some of them get sick. Some, they're eating squirrels, right? So it's just, you guys should definitely watch this show alone on the History Channel.
Absolutely. Which brings us to our sponsors. So speaking of survival, this commercial has been brought to you by your local pharmacy. At the pharmacy, you can get anything from baby formula, medicine, tampons, and makeup. Forget foraging for berries. Have the fun candy kind instead. Don't hack your hair with a hunting knife. Check out aisle 3 for cutting shears. Too much protein? Check out the laxative section right next to the baby wipes. If you had to get dropped off anywhere, the pharmacy is where you could really survive all the elements and come out looking and feeling a million times better.
And we're back. That's a great commercial. I do love the pharmacy.
They had a movie where I think it was Natalie Portman where she got stuck in a Walmart. And I think back then the Walmarts weren't like also groceries, also everything. And she has a baby, I think. And she's trapped in a Walmart. I forget the name of the movie, but I thought, being trapped in the pharmacy instead. Because if your Walmart doesn't have a pharmacy, what are you going to do if you get sick? If you need to clean yourself, if you need protein, you had those shakes.
I would get stuck in a Walmart.
Walmart over a pharmacy?
Yeah, because Walmart, there is a pharmacy.
Walmart now has everything. It
has to be matter. Everything, but if it wasn't, I'd definitely get, in a pharmacy. I buy so much shit at the pharmacy. I go in for toilet paper, but of course I'm going to be in their makeup section. And, they're getting better and better now. It's
like, you remember when you were a kid and you went to the pharmacy and you bought like one thing? Now you go in, it could be the most expensive shopping trip.
When I was a kid, I was like 13, 14, started getting into makeup and, the samples. Obviously, I don't know the etiquette at 13, unfortunately, for the samples. And every day I would go there and do my makeup until one woman told me at the store, you cannot do that.
Well, also, you don't want to be using their stuff because if you don't have the tissues to clean it, how many
Didn't
people?
help. Right.
No. But you can always ask them. They've always been good. I remember as a teenager, anytime I bought anything, and they like throw a sample, and I'm like, do you have any other ones?
Oh, yeah. That's always a big tip.
And you were like a winner. You're like, I'm going to use this perfume, Liz Taylor White Diamonds.
Oh, yeah. It's classy.
You're like, yeah, you felt like $1 million. Oh, the pharmacy. I do love it. But anyway, so I do recommend you check out Alone. It can be a little harrowing, and ask yourself, could you do it? Could you survive anywhere alone forget the fact that they're in the wilderness?
Not without my man. I can spend maybe a month alone without Nadav if I needed to.
I'm saying just at home, not even in the wilderness.
At home, absolutely alone without my husband.
No husband, no people, but you'd be in your house.
For a month, yes.
Okay, you could do it. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
If anyone, I always joke, with this quarantine, our family, we love to anyways quarantine. I mean, we stay in the house. We can't wait. We're very active people, but we're excited when we can just nosh in front of the TV for hours.
Well, I think that comes from, I always wonder why that was. It comes from, we're always having people around us all our lives. So
Right.
it's like a luxury when you get some alone time.
It's true. Even with my husband, his friends, they always think they're amazed by me because I always, Nadav is always going out with his friends and his friends, wives and girlfriends have an issue, and Nadav's the only one where he's like, my wife really doesn't
She's
mind.
like, get out of the house.
And right. I'm like, hey, it's time to go. I need my space. And, they're obviously, his friends are like, oh, I'm so jealous. Like, because I need my space.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, but I really hated it when he'd go on business trips. He would go away
If it's
for
a
week.
business trip, fine. But if it's for a guy's night or something, I'm like, you mean I get the place to myself? Bye.
Yeah, so that's it. As I'm watching the show, I'm like, okay, first of all, they're alone. How long could I last
There's
alone?
no TV
And
there.
survive.
There's nothing there.
It's not for me.
How are they washing?
I don't know what they're going to do in the winter, but I think they do like a freezing polar bear
I can't wait
dip.
to see how the show goes.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. Well, Puts, it's been great catching up.
It's been great. We'll have more episodes for you guys in the next coming weeks, of course.
Absolutely. And if you like what you hear, don't forget to check us out weekly on iTunes or on your preferred platform. Please give us a rating and subscribe to the show. Give us the stars you think we deserve.
You can also check out our website, allkindspodcast.com. You could also hit us up on Twitter at allkindsweekly or on Instagram at allkindspodcast. And also, keep in mind, I have a Twitter account called allkindsyehudas, and you're
All Kinds Higher.
right. So you can follow us on Twitter there as well. And we look forward to hearing from you, and maybe we can discuss it on our next show. Thanks for listening.